Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have one of the craziest and weirdest and overall kind of very 2000 story going on for you guys, where there's actually a story that's been rotating around and making kind of just a lot of random waves everywhere about an Xbox creator who was, one of the OG boyos back in the day working on the original console. Almost got fired by doing something very, very inappropriate by comparing gaming towards something many lovely adults do during the day-to-day actions that most people try to be a little coy about, but most of the time, everyone does it anyway. So this is one of those little kind of weird videos to go talk about, but overall, it's just such a funny and hilarious story, so I kind of want to go and show you guys in general, because it's just so dumb, and every now and then in the gaming industry, there's just like that one random weird thing where you go and read the headline, you go do a quick little double check, and you kind of realize, how is this a real thing? Like, how is this actually happening? So we have lots of stuff to go and talk about throughout this video. So if you guys will enjoy, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, linked down below. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100. You guys go get free stock and free money. Same with that Coinbase too as well. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. Let's go dive in and also check out those brand new Samsung SSDs are also on sale. So as I mentioned, sometimes people get involved in like the somewhat sketchy deed, and by that I mean, when your mom walked in on you maybe back in your like the good old teenage years or whatever you were kind of maybe doing that you should not be doing in all. So this is in regards to one of the good old OG Xbox creators who nearly got fired after saying gaming is just like the good old M word. Ooh. So in 2001, the story foaming all over here, Seamus Blackley, part of the original Xbox team at Microsoft, found himself kind of in some hot water, and sometimes for those types of situations, you need to have some cold water, So back in 2001, one of the key creators behind the original Xbox console, Seamus Blackley, compared gaming to, well, the dirty deed. Apparently, this didn't go over well with literally Bill Gates himself and other high-ranking Microsoft executives, especially because this is also before the Xbox has been proven. At this point in the time, it's like it wasn't as prevalent. Now I feel like the Xbox is proven. You can kind of joke around. You've kind of earned the accolade itself. But as you kind of go through this stuff, it's not as good because if it's brand new, you're investing a lot of money that you're not sure if it's going to get back or not. Kind of like Mixer, if you guys know about the Twitch boys. That's pretty much what happened here. So according to Blackley himself, he literally almost then got fired right after dropping that quote, which I think overall is kind of a good quote, though. If you guys have ever had one of those really good AAA games and one of those really good gaming experiences, sometimes you kind of just know. So basically, this is on Twitter. Someone actually pointed out this quote from a Bloomberg journalist, Dina Bass, which read, "Gaming is like the dirty deed. Everyone does it. Nobody wants to talk about it." So she responded to the person on Twitter and explained that she had to go give credit to Seamus Blackley himself, often called the father of the Xbox, who originally said that quote all the way back in 2001. In response to that tweet, Blackley explained that he nearly basically got fired from that quote. So basically the quote over here is her saying to give credit where credit's due. That was me quoting something Seamus Blackley said, as we kind of just mentioned in the article, to me back in 2001, a few weeks ahead of the original Xbox launch. The point I was trying to make is that gaming is now more mainstream, where it's been a little bit more hidden back then, where he responds saying, "This is the quote that nearly got me fired from Microsoft and Xbox itself." So in 2001, Blackley was given an interview a few weeks before the launch of the Xbox, and after the interview and said he did say the famous quotes that we've been mentioning on top of it. He then also did go on to explain that the main reason he got in so much trouble was that the quote ended up in the East Side Journal. So this is like one of those things, you're having a casual conversation with your boss, your friends, your colleagues, and you kind of say that one thing that in all honesty, everyone knows what you're saying. It's not that weird of a comment, but you kind of say it and everyone kind of gets like a little like a head turn, like, whoa, does this guy really go and say that as well? And also some of the conservative spouses of Microsoft executives even then ended up reading it, and then he was summoned over to Building 4, shall we say. So if you guys ever been fired from a job or had got in trouble with the, maybe your school principal or a dean, it's almost never a good sign when they're like, "Hey, well, Luke, you should probably go report to Building 4 after your normal workday hours. We will see you then. We'll escort you there off the premises." And then you're sitting there throughout the rest of your workday, literally sweating because you are so afraid that something bad is about to happen. And for this is pretty much how he felt. So spotted by GameSpot, And actually, funny enough, was not the first time he actually joked about it, just more so the public time about this actually in 2009. So he said, what about those of us who got to interview you as expounded of your theory of how gaming is like the dirty deed, which my editor would not let me put in the story no matter how I tried. And his response was actually, I got in a lot of trouble for saying that. It was an argument for multiple multiplayer gaming online, which Xbox was a pioneer in. Steve Ballmer and Bill Gates were very upset at me about those comments. Thanks for bringing that up. So basically, he's been floating around too. He knows he messed up, but I think it's hilarious. So he basically said it was an argument for multiplayer gaming online too as well. And that's true back in the day. Good old Halo times forever ago. One of the best vibes ever. So of course, Blackley wasn't fired and helped Microsoft successfully launch the original Xbox. And while that initial console didn't do as well as the PS2, which is totally fine, we kind of keep on still seeing after all these years, the big old PS5, Xbox, and, well, PlayStation and Xbox, Nintendo division as well too as well. That is now literally because it has so much money from Daddy Bill Gates and Microsoft, and they're all happily buying Activision and Bethesda-sized companies too as well to go and feed their basically popular big Game Pass. So kind of want to give you guys the thoughts this week. We have a cool little Nintendo story too as well with all the Nintendo drama. But basically for this is hilarious. I gotta be honest with you guys, I love it when we get to see just dumb, silly kind of stories like this because it's just a fun experience. It's just a fun time. We love this type of weird vibe, and it's just like everyone knows. It's kind of like just the founding root holds of gaming itself because back in the day, I do think the world was a little bit more different, especially when I was growing up. Granted, I was only like a little bit of a kid at that point, but it's just kind of cool to go and see people still have those roots, can make jokes of it after all these years, and it's kind of just funny to go and see. So you guys can leave your thoughts and comments down below. But we actually have a little bit more of an intriguing thing too that's been going on. Where now, as you guys heard about all the drama with the Xbox, and we also now have a little bit of drama then too as well with Nintendo. So basically now we have a little bit of Sony versus Xbox and Xbox versus Nintendo vibes. Or now even when you have the Xbox boss going and stating that he trusts Nintendo to not do anything that would harm the game industry. And this is almost kind of weird. That seems like Microsoft trying to go be like the big watchful daddy of the gaming industry, which is always kind of weird. Like you never know if you like that's the good vibe or not. So it's kind of strange that they're kind of like, hey, you're not going to mess up the gaming industry, right, Nintendo? Hey, you're not going to mess up the gaming industry, right, PlayStation? So we can kind of go and see. So unless you've been under the rock, and I'm sure you guys all know, you'll be aware that the biggest news in gaming at present surrounds Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard, the publisher of franchise, Call of Duty and all that good stuff too as well. So here's actually one of their comments too they made about Nintendo, which is kind of surprising. This goes and has Phil Spencer, the boss himself, stating they have a long history in video games. Nintendo's not going to do anything that damages gaming in the long run because that's just the business they're in, which is kind of nice to say. I think we probably all vouch, I think, for all three big gaming companies that at the end of the day, we all care about gaming. And it almost kind of seems very, very prevalent if they, for some odd reason, do not. Well, that means that I think a lot of consumers, a lot of people like us, a lot of big heads would probably go and call them out. Like if basically Xbox tried to go make their Game Pass $100 a month. Number one, I think a lot of gamers would probably go and just X-nay it and not buy it. And I'm sure a lot of big figureheads from Sony and Nintendo would probably make fun of it and will just not support it because that's just not a good business model and it's just not smart to be in. But this is kind of nice to see because I think all these big three companies have like a nice little bit of mutual respect, at least a little bit. He's also stating as well, Sony is the same and I trust them. Valve is the same way. We kind of covered this before in a previous video, but it is kind of cool to see as long as we can see where Call of Duty takes us. Because I'm sure you guys all know the big issue for this is we don't know if Call of Duty is going to actually become exclusive in a few months or a few years. Same with all the other various things like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and World of Warcraft. Everyone does keep on leaning towards yes, because obviously they spent $70 billion. They want to make their money back. But at least on the bright side, it does kind of seem like they are putting extra pressure on, say, Nintendo, to kind of make sure like all these upcoming games and stuff stay pretty good. But as well as the part two, we also want to make sure that Sony is also kind of being okay as well. So kind of a little bit of a kind of like a little bit of everything Xbox video, but sometimes Xbox been doing kind of cool stuff. We want to see Xbox go and support the rest of the gaming industry with other gaming consoles, as well as not having their, creators and higher ups talking about the dirty deed. But on top of that too, it's just always nice to see the big collection of video games I'll put together and mostly being kind of good. You're kind of held together with like a nice moral code, and hopefully it stays that way. But this is why we get a little bit scared on these Activision acquisitions, because at the end of the day, if you have a company that's spending $70 billion that can potentially take away games from everyone, Although I have Game Pass, it's not the biggest deal. It's something to be worried about, especially if you guys only have a PS5, PS4, or also maybe just only a Nintendo Switch. So we have a lot of little random things, so make sure you guys give your thoughts and comments down below. I just want to give you guys a big thank you guys for watching the videos all throughout this week. You guys have all been phenomenal. And as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway, as well for the brand new, just overall for videos, as well the brand new Samsung SSDs, which I do recommend for those nice little deals going on down below if you guys want to check them out and see. Amazon links for the PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch stream as well. Link down below, and sign up for Weeble and Coinbase. And I'll see you guys later on throughout today for a bunch more videos. Love you guys.